Hello, welcome to Rashi Parasha Study Parashat Tetze. We're going to look at one comment of Rashi that's going to be a little bit perplexing at first, and we'll try to understand exactly what he's doing. He's talking about the Eshe Fatuar, and it says, "V'lakachta lecha leisha." You're going to see a Eshe Fatuar in the war. When you're going to war, you're going to see a beautiful woman. You're going to desire her, and you're going to decide to take her as your wife. Then the Torah continues with the restrictions the person has on the issue of Fatuad. He has to bring her into his house. She cries for her family for 30 days. Right? She grows her fingernails and her hair as well. She shaves her hair, and then finally he can't. At the end of the process, he cannot send her out. He cannot sell her to slavery. He has to let her go free if he decides not to marry her. Alternatively, he can decide to marry her. This is the process of the Eshe of Fatuad when you go to war. Now she says something very interesting. Lo dibira Torah. This idea of lakahta lecha isha is not an automatic lakahta lecha isha, as if it's the advice of the Torah to take her as your wife, but rather, says Rashi, lo dibera Torah ela keneged yitzhara. What does that mean? He defines it in the next sentence. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't allow you to marry her when nervous, you're going to marry her be'isur. So this is what we call a concession to the Yetzer Hara. Hashem knows I can't demand your actions. I cannot control your actions fully. Therefore, Hashem's solution is, I'm going to allow you to do what you want to do, but on my terms. This is what we call Dibera Torah Keneged Yetzer Hara. I'll give in to you, but under my terms. A similar concept would be in concept of the laws of Roseach B'Shugeg when you have Goel Hadam and Ein Miklat. And keep in mind, somebody who kills B'Shugeg, they run to the city of refuge, and then they're saved from the Goel Hadam, the avenger of the blood, the relative of the victim who is able to kill the murderer, accidental murderer, if he ever leaves this Ein Miklat, the city of refuge. If he doesn't leave the city of refuge, then he can't kill him. So the obvious question is, Torah, what are you doing? Just say, don't kill the guy if you don't want the guy to die. And if you want the guy to die, say, there's no Ein Miklat. So it seems to be, obviously, the Torah doesn't want the guy to die. So why do we say you have to say the Ein Miklat and the guy could kill you if you leave the Ein Miklat? One potential explanation is because Torah cannot tell the avenger of the murderer, the family relatives of the victim, that you can't kill the guy. The Torah wants to give in to that desire for vengeance, but yet at the same time make it very hard to achieve. So too here. The Torah acknowledges that I can't control your physical desires. If I tell you after going to warfare, you have bloodlust, and you see a woman, a beautiful woman, you're going to want to marry her, and if I don't create laws and legislation, if I just tell you it's a sword, you're going to come to violate the sword and terrible things will happen. It's not productive, not for Hashem, not for Am Yisrael. Therefore, Hashem says, okay, I'm going to allow it. I'm allowing, not that I'm demanding that, not that I'm telling you, but you could marry her and therefore follow my conditions. And by God placing all these conditions, he'll be able to control the situation. So, for instance, Rashi comments, why is she shaving her head and growing her fingernails? In order to become ugly. Kined and Avila, he was attracted to her physical beauty. Let him realize she's not so physically beautiful. And then he has to bring her into a house. And so where his wife is, if he already has another wife, a Jewish wife, and then he has to bring her into his house and obviously recognize, what am I doing? And as she says, so the Bat Yisrael could be happy seeing the other one suffering. And eventually you might make the decision not to marry her because you're following the process. But God, that's Ena Kadosh Baruch Hu Matira is Ena B'Yisur, therefore Lo Dibra Torah Ela Kediged Yisara. But now Rashi does something very strange. Avalim Nisa'a, if he does marry her, so for Liyut Sun'ah, the end, he's going to come to hate her. How do I know he's going to come to hate her? The next paragraph of the Torah, the next mitzvah, talks about when a man has two different wives. He has one beloved, Ahuva, and one sinu'ah. That's the next paragraph. And then it says Rashi, what's the third mitzvah mentioned after that? Which is the next paragraph. That talks about a ben sorer umoreh. The child from this marriage will be a ben sorer umoreh. Halalu. Therefore, you have these three parashiyot all connected to each other. One, Eshet Fatuad. Two, Had Alva Had Sinwan, they have a hated wife. And three, the ben sorer umoreh. So this is very funny. You're telling me that the Torah is only speaking Keneged Yitzhahara. That God is creating the conditions to allow me to marry in order to control the situation. But yet it comes Rashi to tell you that if you do marry her, when you follow the mitzvot, when you follow the process of Eshet Fatuad, bad things are going to happen. And where did these ideas come from? Why Sofuli Yutsum'ah? Why a ben sorer umoreh? Meaning, I understand you could almost use it to say like this. How do I know the Torah doesn't really want me to marry her? Because look at the connection of the parashiyot, and therefore it seems to me to tell me this is really a bad idea. We don't really want this to happen, but we have to allow it, so we're going to try to control as much as possible. But if you really wanted to know the divine opinion, Hashem doesn't want you to allow it. Now, why? Why is so fully so bad? The answer is obviously very simple. He married her to Ahavat Davar. He's marrying her for a specific reason. He's marrying for her beauty. He's not marrying her for who he is. He doesn't love the person. He loves the physical body of this woman. And therefore, any time you have a specific reason for the love, until Davar, until Ahava, that thing disappears, the Ahava is going to leave as well, and you don't have shared values. And therefore, the Ben Sorer umoreh is going to arise. A child who can't find his way, his mother's telling him one direction, his father's pushing him in a different direction. This is never supposed to happen, this marriage. It's not productive. They're not married for the right reasons. The values are not shared, and therefore the children also are impacted as well. So this statement of Rashi is not just a statement in general about God making concessions, which is interesting in a legal and a philosophical sense, but it's also in a very practical Rashi about parenting and the impact that has when we do things in the wrong way. And to draw out the lesson from this Rashi, when we're looking to build a bayit and be sale, what that means, what we should be looking for in a spouse, what the concept of shared values is all about, and to understand what truly matters in Am Yisrael and how to build Am Yisrael, all from this little small Rashi right here. Shabbat Shalom Umevorach.